Hi, this is Ayesha Akhtar with the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago. And with me today, I have Erica Granada. She is a principal at Enger School, and I wanted her to come on today to talk a little bit about what's coming with the Seizure Smart School Act. So, welcome, Erica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Thanks. I know you've just finished your school year, so we won't talk about the past. That was a tough school year.
Yes,
But could you tell us a little bit about your school?
absolutely. So our school is the Lake Special Education District 83 Cooperative School for students with low incidence disabilities.
So in that sort of scenario, you have a lot of paraprofessionals, I'm imagining, a lot of support staff.
Yes, absolutely. So, as do many of our sister schools, any of your therapeutic schools who serve students who really require a lot of support, especially in the many eligibilities that involve low incidence, you're going to see higher numbers of teachers' assistants or paraeducators within that context. So, our school generally, depending on the needs of our co-op, runs between 50 and 60 students, but our staff between full and part-time runs between 50 and 60 people, depending on the needs of who we have from our member districts. So yes, absolutely, we do have a high number of teachers assistants, actually, that it's a 2-to-1 ratio between teachers assistants and teachers.
That's really significant. And I know you have a dedicated school nurse at your school,
Yes,
which
yes,
you're very lucky.
we are
That's
very
not, yeah, that's not the case in a lot of schools.
most schools.
Yeah. So I've come out to your school a few times in the last couple of years, and it's always been great to meet your staff. I feel like you have a really good command, very good knowledge of seizure education and of epilepsy, and I believe that that really does show through in your staff because they are, like you said before, frontline workers. Like they are with students all day long. They notice things that maybe even parents wouldn't notice. And that's only because of the fact that they're with these students for an extended period of time. So let's say I've come in and I've done the training and then I leave. What kind of happens behind the scene with your staff?
So, we usually have the Epilepsy Foundation. You usually come in at the beginning of the year and do our training. Subsequent to that, it is not just a one and done, okay, check, we've done our training. It is ongoing and it is a constant discussion of the medical needs of our students, because that is part and parcel to the students who we serve here at Enger School. So, what does that look like? Each team has a team meeting. So at least once a week or every other week, each classroom has a team meeting. That team meeting involves myself, it involves nursing staff, it involves the teacher, it involves paraeducator, and any related service related to that classroom. Things that we discuss at those meetings include seizure plans, changes in medication, behavior, any updates on the student. So it is, those seizure action plans for us are really a real-time document, and we are constantly updating them, we're constantly discussing them. We're discussing changes in behavior, which really our teachers assistants are on the front line of that information, because they're the ones who are spending 6 hours a day seated directly next to students, and very often they are the ones to really notice changes, especially if there's been a medication switch or the child is growing, the child's hitting puberty. Things change, and they change at the drop of a hat. So we really value their information, and we value our partnerships that we have with our healthcare providers that are very, very strong. Very often we are writing narratives on behalf of our students, for their epileptologist, their neurologist, to give them a better picture of what is going on at the school environment. And that really the font of that information comes from our support staff.
I really like how you said that the seizure action plan for you is very dynamic, it's very iterative, it's based on real-time information.
Yes.
And I think that that's a really good time to kind of mention the seizure action plan. So there are two really salient features of the Seizure Smart School Act, which I did have a hand in writing, and
Yes.
I'm really
Yes, you
excited
did.
about that becoming effective July 1. But you're right, the seizure action plan is definitely one of those elements that are there to support your staff, to protect your staff so that you know what to do in the event of an emergency. We don't know when a student's going to have a seizure. It could be a breakthrough seizure, or it could be a typical scheduled seizure that's triggered by running around outside in the playground. Like, we just don't know. We
Mhm.
would hope that kids have very good seizure control. So that action plan is there as a guide. You're right. And it's really great to hear that you do have that great relationship with the parents and also with the medical professionals, the providers, so that if there ever is a question on the action plan, you can feel free to contact, the student's nurse or their provider directly, and be able to have that rapport. The second salient feature of that act is the delegated care aide, which it sounds like your school is actually set up for something like that, in which there would be one person who is responsible for that student's well-being, whether it's getting the medication, calling 911, et cetera. So do you feel like everything is kind of all set, ready to go July 1?
Absolutely. I think students in schools that are therapeutic in nature, your therapeutic day schools, public and private, really have been on the forefront of this. We deal with seizures all the time. So,
Yeah.
we really, our staff has it, down to a science in terms of, tracking them, documenting that, getting that information to the parents. So, for us, I think that act is just more of a reflection of something that's been going on for years, and it's great to extend that really to everyone, maybe to environments, educational environments where that didn't exist before, but really certainly, it exists, at our school through your help. And, I think, it really is just a reflection of the work we've been doing.
That's awesome. And as you were saying that, staff who are with students all day long can notice something and can keep a log. How have you found that information to be helpful for parents, whether it's in a log form or in a narrative form?
Yes. So we work very, very closely with our parents. Very often we know when the next appointment is for the epileptologist or the neurologist because we are constantly in contact regarding that. And so a lot of the time what we will do is offer, or parents will ask, say, hey, can you write that narrative again? And just kind of document what you've been seeing. And then also document any office visits, changes in behavior, changes in appetite, changes in, any type of functioning in the student. And we send that in a written form, in a narrative form to physicians. And that has been incredibly helpful. We get great feedback from that. Very often the physicians, their nurses and our nurse talk in frequent communication, which is terrific. We prefer that, and our parents prefer it because it kind of cuts out the middleman, where we can just sign a release and we can pick up the phone and say, hey, today isn't a great day, and here's what we're seeing. And they can give us some real-time feedback, which is tremendous.
It
So
is.
yeah, that's been a great relationship for us. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it really has benefited our students.
Yeah, and I feel like that can be a standard. Like you said, being a therapeutic school, this is not your first rodeo. Kind of like the protocols that work. And
Mhm.
I feel like these narratives that you're providing, and the fact that you even know when a student's next appointment is, I mean, you are on top of things. And I think that that's so beneficial. As you said, you've gotten great feedback. And I know from the epileptologist end of things, that information can definitely change a student's medication. Is there anything else that you would like to send as a message to the families who are watching this video, and as a principal or for staff or for parents?
Sure. I mean, I would highly recommend, the Epilepsy Foundation to anyone, to parents, to principals, to schools. Schools, we all have tight budgets, right? And a lot of the trainings are really expensive. Uh, the Epilepsy Foundation's trainings are free. We don't pay a dime for them. They come out every year. You come out every year and train our staff. Our staff look for you. They know you're coming. They're like, oh, is she coming? Yes, she's coming. She's on, day 1 or 2 of our opening session. They all know. It's just part and parcel of our routine. And I would highly encourage any organization, church, synagogue, mosque, whatever, to reach out, education, to get training for your organization. It's free. So what do you have to lose other than, the best care for your students, or the people with whom you work.
And I look forward to providing your next training, whether it's in person. We don't know what's going to happen, whatever the public health experts say, whatever the Illinois School Board of Education says. But I'm here to provide that training, whether it's in person or virtually. Always the support for you and your team. So whatever you need, just let us know. And I just want to thank you so much for your time. I know you're in between a million things. So for you to be able to sit down with me today and share this message, I'm greatly appreciative of that.
Well, we look forward to having you, and either way, we're going to get the training. So you'll kick us off either way.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.